Welcome back to this week's podcast. I am Chad Owen, and this is Wonder Boy, Boy Wonder, Wonder Bread. It's all sorts. We're talking about so Caleb is the type of guy that he'll make a jab at you and then immediately get convicted. He's like, "I'm sorry, man, I didn't mean that." It's like, it's so funny because even when it's a really good jab, I'm like, that was really good, but he still feels bad about it. So who really got jabbed?
Oh, I can think of one that I had on you. Do you remember Maui?
Oh man, you know what? What happens in Maui or the Big Island?
No, Maui. This was 2 years ago when you referred to yourself as a fine steak. You referred to yourself
well marbled,
and I said, "Yeah, Chad, you are pretty well marbled."
Okay, so let's get to something that matters, like writing people's business, helping people write business.
Oh, come on.
Okay,
so 25 reasons 90% of agents fail. Okay,
I can think of one of them right now.
So we've got a document at theannuitysalescoach.com that they can go download, and it just maps out 25 reasons. My thought is, okay, let's do a 2-part series. We'll start this week with the first part, breaking down the first 13 reasons. Next week we'll come back and we'll break down the final 12.
What the heck? I mean, we don't have all day.
Oh, I know. Okay. We're gonna get through it.
We may have to break this into 3.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But this was something that you put together, and so I'm just gonna go through these first 13, and you can share your thoughts on them. But the first one you said is they don't define themselves. I mean, you went on to say that.
Yeah, I know what I went on to say.
Right. There's another opportunity.
They got to download it. He's going to give you all the information. Then you guys don't need to download anything. So
give more than What is
okay? So defining yourself, it's really important. I am not an RIA. I am not any sort of variable guy. I'm not a life insurance guy. Although I will write life insurance business. I'm not a long-term guy. Although I will help people with long-term care. I'm an annuity expert. I'm a safe money specialist. So I've defined exactly what I want to do in this business. But I have 10 companies. So each one I'm defining what my purpose is. And for me, this is just my personal. I am all about kingdom business and mentoring people. That's what it is. A legacy far beyond the time I'm ever alive. So that's really where I've defined what I want to do. Now, how do I do it? And so that's a whole nother topic. But defining who you are and what you want to do is so important because I see people chasing Medicare. I see people chasing health insurance. Oh my gosh, just hit me in the head with a hammer. I appreciate when people do Medicare and health insurance because there's going to be a day where I'm going to need Medicare help. Yeah. But man, it's just a lot of work for a little amount of reward. Other than the fact of if you truly go into a Medicare appointment and you're not in there just trying to do a bait and switch, but if you're truly helping someone with Medicare, that can be really good. But that just to me is not really what my thing is. But define what you are, what you want to do, how you want to do it.
Yeah, that's really good. So there's a level of specialization there, really getting focused. I love it. And we've talked about that before. The second one you said was they don't set standards.
Well, I walk away from big deals all the time because it's not best for them.
Sure.
What do I mean by that? I mean, just because somebody has $1 million, if they require $100,000 a year to live off of, that's not a suitable product.
Right.
And you have to be willing to stick to that standard. I mean, I've walked away from multi-million-dollar deals before because it was not in the best interest of the client. I mean, of course, it would have been in the best interest of me. I mean, that would have been a great deal. But the reality is that's not why I do it. My standard is to operate honestly, ethically, with morals and values that help dictate my standards. I heard somebody say one time, as a guy, a lot of times people, they'll make some little joke about a lady dressed a certain way. And this guy that is a mentor of mine just said, you have a standard set in your mind that you will automatically not ever look at a woman in an inappropriate way. And you set that standard. So you just, boom, turn your head. You don't even look or stare. And that's not only honoring the woman, but it's also honoring your marriage, honoring who I am. Yeah. And I set that standard and I've ingrained it in my head to where you don't compromise your values, your ethics, your integrity. You just don't. No matter how big the opportunity is for a sale, it does not matter. You stick to it. Because if you'll do it with a little sale, you'll do it with a big sale. If you do it with a big sale, you'll do it with a little sale. So it's just not worth it.
It's funny, though, kind of to sum that up in a sentence, it's almost like the standard inside of you is bigger, it's stronger than any opportunity outside of you.
Well, to me, it's not. The way I look at that, that's not an opportunity, that's a distraction.
That's fair.
And that's absolutely a hindrance.
Yeah.
So if I see something that goes against who I am and what I've designed to be and do, then it's absolutely a hindrance. And it's actually very destructive.
Yeah. Okay, so set standards for yourself. The third one was they don't set realistic goals.
I laugh at that because one of the number one things I hear when somebody joins our organization, whether it's with our FMO, whether it's with, just getting part of the training on the platform, they're like, I'm going to beat you. And I'm like, hey, go for it.
Come on.
It hasn't happened to this day.
You want to see it. You're doing your job well
to see it,
if somebody can do that.
But just start off in this business saying you're going to write more than me when I've been doing this for 17 years. Chances are you're not going to. And now, can it happen? Absolutely. But the reality, and do I want it to happen? Absolutely. I mean, anybody who's in our Retirement Realized Financial, of course I want you to beat me. Yeah. Why wouldn't I? I mean, even in our academy, I want you to beat me. Why? That means I'm doing my job. If I'm not doing my job, now I know I'm doing my job. You don't have to, it doesn't matter what you think or whatever. I'm doing my job. I'm making sure I'm mentoring. Whether you apply it, that's a whole nother thing.
Responsibility.
But man, I love it when somebody calls me and says, hey, I had $1 million deal or I had a $500,000 deal. I mean, to this date, a guy that I'm mentoring and trade has a bigger sale than me. He wrote a $5 million sale.
Nice.
And my biggest is $4 million. Am I threatened by that? No. Was I a little envious? Yeah, a little. But I mean, it doesn't mean I wasn't any less excited for him. I was very excited for him. I mean, he's a game changer. This is a guy that literally flew his mom out, moved his mom out with him from California. And, he has a wife and 2 kids now. And he made it a point to bring the mom out and is totally helping her get moved. So this guy is a rock star, and he's very family oriented and very dedicated to doing what's right. So of course I was happy for him. Yeah. But realistic goals, I mean, I would say first year in the annuity business, a very realistic goal would be about $2 million.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's a very realistic, that should not be difficult to do. And then years 2 through 5, $5 million to $7 million is very realistic. Yeah. And 5 years on, I mean, the sky's the limit on that, honestly.
That's good. That's exactly, and that lines up with what I've seen with agents in the platform, in Retirement Realized Financial, whatever that looks like. Those are very, very common production markers.
Well, and the reason why that is generally you don't get to the real big numbers till you've been in the business for a while, because a lot of times with a lot of people with a lot of money, they want to know you've been established.
Right.
That's really what it comes down to.
Okay, number 4 was don't make it, reason they fail, they make excuses, not solutions.
Yeah, so if you're looking for an excuse, you're going to find an excuse. If you're looking for a solution, you're going to find a solution. That's really what it comes down to.
That's so good.
So the excuses I hear all the time, why don't I have money for leads? Well, that's funny. You got money for that latte, or you got money for your gas for your car, or the movie you went out to, or the date you went on. And I'm not saying by any means, you know me, if you've been following us for years, your relationship with your spouse is number one. Absolutely. So if you're spending money going on a date, but I see people living way beyond their means, yet they don't have money for leads. And I'm going, do you want to get the business established or not? That's making an excuse.
Right.
Or I'm in too small of a town. I know someone that lives in a town of 15,000, well, me. I live in a town of 15,000 people. Yeah. Yet I wrote 27 million. Why? I was willing to drive. Yeah. I mean, I was willing, as some people say, well, I only want to work in an office. Sometimes, depending on the size of the city, that will limit you. If I wanted to only work out of an office, I mean, most people from San Antonio are not going to drive an hour to come and see me. Yeah. That's not normal. Same with Austin, half an hour to an hour. So I need to go to them to write the big numbers because I'm willing to meet them where they are. So, excuses, you can make them all the time. One thing I hear, I've literally, I think 2 days ever that I can think of because I was sick, I had to cancel appointments. And now if I obviously have something that is contagious, I'm not running appointments. But, just because I don't feel well or I'm tired, that doesn't mean I don't do something. This morning, I woke up going, God, man, I really don't feel like going into work today. I just don't. I don't feel like being here right now. Why? Just one of those days where I just don't. Yeah. And all of us have those days. But I still came in at my normal time. I got started. I did the normal things. I've already made calls. I'm doing this podcast right now. There's so many things that I will do. Just because your emotions cannot dictate what you feel like doing. If you think about it, there's so many things. We have 2 little babies in our office at all times. And I watch moms all the time and even dads. You don't feel like when a baby has a blowout of cleaning it up.
Right.
But you have to do
That's
it.
A necessary
no matter
thing.
what you feel like. And the great thing is I see the guys stepping up just as much. The dads are in there. No, I'll take care of that. You keep doing what you need to do. So, but you don't feel like doing that. So you've got to be sure you're not looking for excuses.
Yeah.
Success follows those who find solutions. That's
true.
Really what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's so good. And being tired, being whatever, is not an excuse in and of itself to do a worse job.
No.
You know what I mean? It's like, if one is not an excuse or a reason not to do it, simultaneously it's not an excuse or a reason to do it any less than you would if you were feeling well.
I don't care if it's my first appointment of the day or I'm on my 4th or 5th appointment in the day and I'm exhausted then when I'm putting 100% effort in at the last appointment. I'm doing everything I need to. I'm still doing full fact finders, full explanations. I'm not rushing to get out of the appointment. I'm doing what I need to do no matter what.
Absolutely. Well, the 5th one you said, Chad, is that they don't follow a wealth principle. And you mentioned Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich as kind of a principle. So kind of walk us through a good wealth principle for them to establish.
Set standards. For example, my first 10% always goes to charity, no matter what. It's off the gross. That's my wealth standard. And then I figure out, okay, how much do I want to give to other organizations above my 10%? Then I set money aside for leads. And then I pay bills, and then I set up vacation funds, things like that. Now, I really honestly don't even have a budget. I haven't done that for years. Why? I just have a different standard to how I spend my money, and I only need a certain amount to live off of, and the rest we just delegate to other areas. Yep. So it's pretty simple. So you got to set up what you're going to do with your money. But to me, charitable, paying back, giving back to what you've been given, that's non-negotiable for me. That's first.
That's good.
And then, of course, taking care of my family, setting those wealth standards. The reason why I say wealth standards instead of a budget is because budgets often limit you. Yeah. Budget says, hey, I set a budget for $1,000 a month to give, and you feel like the Lord told you, and this is just once again me personally, the Lord tells you give you 10 grand. You better give 10 grand,
right?
But your budget says you only give $1,000, so that's why I don't really set budgets.
There's anymore. An element of poverty mindset attached to budget. There's an element of wisdom, so it's kind of a balance there, right?
Well, and there were years that we got into massive trouble because we didn't set a budget, but once we set a budget, we were able to pay off all of our debts. We were able to get everything taken care of, and now we don't. Yeah, now we don't need a budget.
That's good. Yeah. That's good. The 6th one you said is
but I also want to clarify. I don't buy what I want.
That's true. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Oh, that sounds real familiar.
Yeah, I've heard that one a time or two.
You have heard that a few times. So, there's a lot of things people ask me. Why don't you have multiple cars? Why don't you have a bigger house? Why don't you have the boat? Why don't you? Just because you can doesn't mean you should. So you also want to, it's called delayed gratification. My brother taught me that years ago. Just wait, think, do you really want it? Like right now, I'd love to buy a boat. How much would I really use it? I don't know.
Right.
We had we have a really nice swimming pool. And last year, even though it was right in our house, we didn't use it as much as I thought we would. It's true. So I don't know. Just take time. Be deliberate in your spending.
That's good. Tell it what to do, or it'll tell you what you can do.
Boy, that sounds familiar too.
Number 6 is you said they don't set their business up for success. I like the word business there.
Yeah, because it's not a hobby, it's a business. And so the reality is you treat your business like a hobby, it's going to be a hobby.
Right.
If you treat your hobby like a business, often hobbies turn into business.
That's exactly right.
So it goes either way, but I can't stress to you enough. Your business is your business. A hobby, you can say, I don't feel like doing that today.
Right.
Your business, you can't.
Yeah.
You know, your business tells you or really dictates what's going on. Because I've heard someone say, and I've said this before, always make sure you put your family before your business.
Yeah.
Always make sure your business comes before your family. What do I mean by that? Well, your heart has to be always towards your family. But often putting your business before your family from the standpoint of, I would much rather, way more, be on vacation with my family hanging out than I would be working. But if I don't do my business, I'm not taking care of my family.
You're not going to be on the vacation.
So that's what I mean. That's the only thing I mean when it comes to putting your business before your family is you have to pay bills.
Right.
I mean, there's guys out there that love golfing. And if you keep going out and golfing and you don't take care of your business, then all of a sudden you're going to be going, I don't have any money left for my business or for my golfing. So, that's where there's the balance. And so, yeah, it kind of looks like we are going to have to split this probably up into 3. And, once again, we want to make sure these podcasts will go on for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
But we want to make sure that we're being very deliberate in what we're talking about. We're not rushing things, and we're honoring the time we told you. We try and keep these between 13 and 17 minutes. And that's because I hear this all the time. People are driving and like, hey, I just put this in. I have a 15-minute commute or whatever it is.
The timing is perfect.
So we want to make sure we honor that. So until the next one, we will continue to the probably at least phase 2 and 3, maybe phase 4. We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah. So
top 25 reasons agents fail.
Have a great day. Happy selling.